Good morning, scholars. Today is Monday, April 27th, 2020, day 19 of Mr. Correa's Math Virtual Learning. Today, scholars, we're going to work on comparing fractions with the same numerator. Just a few things to remember about fractions. Fractions begin from a whole, which is equal to the number 1. Fractions are equal parts of a whole. Unit fractions, such as 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, are the smallest equal parts of their whole. And we can write fractions in uniform or fraction form. And last but not least, fractions have a numerator and a denominator. So when comparing unit fractions, we really focus on the size of each equal part. And we can use the terms greater than or less than to compare the sizes of those equal parts. And fraction strips are a good tool we can use that helps us see the size of each unit fraction. Let's see how we can use these fraction strips to help us identify the size of each unit fraction. So I have a set of unit fractions. We have a half, 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/6, 1/8. And remember, these are unit fractions, so I took one equal part out of the wholes, okay? Now, if you pay attention to the denominators, we have a denominator of 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. Now, these numbers are increasing. Scholars, what are you noticing about the relationship of the denominator and the size of the equal parts? You should see that the greater the denominator gets, the smaller the equal part. Let's imagine these equal parts were pieces of a candy bar. Which piece would you like? Or which piece would you choose? Would you choose a 4th? Would you choose a 3rd? Or an 8th? Or a 1/2? Or a 6th? I'm pretty sure everyone chose a 1/2 because a 1/2 is the biggest piece. So I want you to keep that in mind when comparing unit fractions, that the greater the denominator, the smaller the equal part, or the smaller the denominator, the bigger the equal part gets. Let's see if we can use this knowledge to compare these two fractions. Which equal part is the biggest? Is 1/2 bigger than 1/8, or is 1/8 bigger than 1/2? Now remember, even though the denominator 8 is larger than 2, we're focusing on what? The size of the equal part. So which unit fraction has the largest or the biggest equal part? We can say the 1/2. All right, excellent job. Let's try another one. Which equal part is the smallest? We have 1/4 and 1/6. You should have stated 1/6 because the equal part in 1/6 is actually smaller than the equal part in 1/4. Let's try one more example. Which equal part is the smallest? We have 1/6 and 1/8. Excellent job. 1/8 is the smallest. Why is 1/8 the smallest? It is the smallest because the size of the equal part is smaller than the size of the equal part of 1/6. And remember, if these were two pieces of candy, which candy would you choose? The biggest or the smallest? I'm pretty sure everyone would choose the biggest. Well, scholars, that wraps up our lesson for today of comparing unit fractions. Remember, with unit fractions, the greater the denominator, the smaller the equal part. Or the smaller the denominator, the greater the equal part. Have a good day, and I'll see you all tomorrow.